Hi everyone, and I'm your host, the Legendary R, and this time I'm going to be doing another video on Fate Grand Order. This one's going to be for Caster Shuten, or Shuten Douji Caster, whichever one you want to call her. And before I get into it, I wanted to say thank you so much for all the support on the last video I made, which was I think my last video was how to Hokusai. This is basically my second one of doing this, and hopefully the series could continue on as I go along. You just have to keep on supporting me. The next welfare is basically Shuten, and I wanted to go over her stats and skills, and then we'll go over command codes, and then I might even throw in craft instances as well as the servants too. So let's get into it. Her first skill is Heartbreak A+. It applies MP Seal to a single enemy for 1 turn, decreases the critical rate for a single enemy for 3 turns, and the critical rate decrease goes from 30 to 50% depending on level. Now the second skill is called Break Rod B. It increases the Buster and Arts card effectiveness for 1 turn, and it also increases her own critical star gather rate for 1 turn. Now these all scaled based on level, so the Buster and Arts go from 20 to 30%, while the star absorption goes from 300 to 500%. Now her third skill is called Demonic Nature of Oni Protect A. It increases the attack for all allies for 3 turns, and applies a special attack, Demonic, to herself for 3 turns. The attack goes from 10 to 20%, and the damage to demonic enemies goes from 30% to 50%, depending on level. Now for the Noble Phantasm, it's called Magifender Girl, Kyuzuru Massacre, C++. It applies short hit for herself for 1 turn, and deals damage to a single enemy, and it also inflicts poison to a single enemy for 5 turns. So because you're going to have her at MP5, her Noble Phantasm damage will be at 1000%. And for the overcharge damage for the poison, it goes from 1000 to 5000 every turn, basically. Now let's go into command codes you can use with her. I recommend one of the freebie options, which is Code Evil. It applies 5% special attack demonic for the engraved card. By the way, all these command code recommendations, they're not just optional, they're also kind of versatile, which means that they could just work on any card, and they could just work on any card for Shuten, and these basically won't mess with her too much at all. Another one of my recommendations is Sword of Beginning and End. It applies a damage bonus of 1000 when attacking with the engraved card. Basically, you'll deal 1000 extra bonus damage, and I think that's pretty good for Shuten because she's basically just a burst damage dealer and nothing else. Another 2 recommendations I have are Lay in Waiting of Wisteria. It gives special attack demonic, but this one is actually 20%. And I think this works well with her kit. Another recommendation, another one that would be good for her, which is kind of niche, is Great Witch's Wheat Porridge. Inflicts poison for 3 turns, dealing 1000 damage per turn on the enemy when attacking with the engraved card. It also restores 300 HP for the enemy, but basically the enemy will be losing HP more than regenerating HP, so I think this is a fair trade-off. Another one that might be good for her is Dragon Who Knew Not of Love. Inflicts poison for 300 damage for 3 turns, and it also increases critical strength by 5%. A servant that could work well with her is Merlin. Merlin can give Noble Phantasm charge, and he can also give her an extra Buster card effectiveness and even more max HP, which is pretty good. And there's a little bit of survivability in there with his Noble Phantasm that could heal her, and also the max HP boost with Hero Creation. Another servant that works well with her is Waver. Waver is good for basically his 50% MP charge that's split up across his 3 skills. And you also have that extra attack up and critical damage up. And critical strength up, which is good for just that one turn of burst damage that she has. Other servants that could work with her include Quetzalcoatl Rider for the targetable guts and buster up. You can also go with Caster Tamamo for her arts up and Noble Phantasm up. Actually, I have 2 other recommendations. One of my other recommendations is Caster Artoria if you're looking like a year or 2 into the future. She could basically give Caster Shuten MP gain up, which is good because then she could kind of spam her Noble Phantasm a little bit. And also an arts up and solid defense, which is good in many situations. You can also go with Koyanskaya, I think that's how I say it, or Assassin Tamamo, for just an MP battery, and you also have the targetable buster up, which is really good in terms of just better damage and just more single target damage for that one turn. Overall, what do I think about Caster Shuten? I feel like Caster Shuten is just one of those servants that's good to have mainly. I don't think she's one of the best of the best. I feel like you could kind of make her work with some of the command codes I mentioned and some of the servants I mentioned. She's really niche in terms of her damage. She only works against demonic enemies, and I don't think that all the enemies are demonic, or a large majority of them are, because I think most of them are just like ghosts and demonic boars, and that's about it. So I guess she could work well in Babylonia, but outside of Babylonia, you probably won't be able to use her too much. But that's just how I see it. Overall, I still feel like she's worth getting to MP5 and fully maxed out because she's actually a free welfare. And I really hope that all of you are able to get through the grind and be able to get her because she's really good to have, especially if you like shooting. That's about it. Like if you want, share if you want, and subscribe to become a legend in the making. See you next time, bye, and we are proven to be legendary. Stay legendary.